Hey everyone, it's Dominic, the Primetime Treasure Hunter. Thanks for coming by to check out another video. For those of you who are new to my channel, I am a reseller who specializes in selling comic books and all things vintage and collectible. And that includes video games. For the long-time Primetimers out there, you may remember, for example, a really nice sale that I made earlier this year was when I went out to a garage sale and I sourced a PlayStation 2 Slim with a bunch of video games, and then I wound up selling it for almost $200 or something like that. I mean, it was a great flip. And so video games are something to be on the lookout for. Even just individual video games can sell well depending on what they are. Consoles can sell well, as I just gave an example of. Vintage games, if you could find them with the original boxes. For example, I've shown some from estate sales earlier this year, like the old Rampage video game in the box from the Nintendo Entertainment System, and those things will tend to sell quick. But if you don't know much about video games, it really could become overwhelming. Not the games per se so much, but the consoles could really throw you off. And so I want to go into some consoles today. I'm going to focus on the Xbox family of consoles because I have owned and still do own two of the three base consoles for Xbox, the Xbox One and the Xbox 360, and I did for a long time own the original Xbox when it first came out. I'm going to show you examples of all these things if you're completely brand new. I want this to be interesting for people who are brand new into video games and are trying to learn some things, and also throw in some really cool things for people who know a lot about video games. And I want to show you some pretty cool pieces and show you what some of the sale prices are for some of these more specialized consoles that are out there for Xbox. But I do just want to give you a very brief introduction into my history and experience with video games, because although I talk about comics a lot, and when I was a child with comics and toys, I haven't really told you too much about my experience with video games. And I grew up with video games. I grew up playing in television. My parents bought us in television when everyone else in the neighborhood had a Atari 2600 or a ColecoVision, So while they're playing Donkey Kong and Pac-Man, I'm sitting there playing Lock and Chase. But don't get me wrong, we made the best of it and we loved Lock and Chase. It was a fun game. For all those people who played Lock and Chase when you were a kid, make sure you leave a comment down below if you owned an Intellivision and played, Pitfall and all those games, baseball and the poker game and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun playing that system. But when the Nintendo Entertainment System came out in the mid-'80s, that was really a blast. And I remember getting that for Christmas. My brother and I were so excited. We were playing Duck Hunt and Super Mario. I mean, we were just beside ourselves. And we then wound up getting every single Nintendo console that came out after that. Maybe, depending on how this video does, I'll do a Nintendo console video in the future. You can let me know that kind of stuff down in the comments section. But I wasn't really somebody who did much with PlayStation. I did get a PlayStation 3 as an adult, and I got a PlayStation 4. I didn't really play it a ton. I didn't get the original PlayStation. I like to play other systems as well, but like TurboGrafx 16, if you remember that, and Bonk. But PlayStation I wasn't really a ton into. Just a little bit. I still do have a PlayStation 4 console, and like I said, I have the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. So let me show you some of these consoles because it could get a little bit confusing. I mean, let's just start at the basics. If you see some of these things out there, this is just your regular standard Xbox when it first came out. And when Xbox first came out, it was different. It was edgier. It was designed more towards your hardcore gamer. So the most popular game for that system was Halo. And so, it's a shooting game. And so this was not, Super Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog. This was something way more hardcore. And a lot of people really gravitated towards that. And really that game really made that system and made what is possible today for Xbox. It was a very big and bulky system, which is one of the things that turned me off about it. So I played it, but I was more into the Nintendo family of games. So don't get me wrong, we had a bunch of Xbox games, but we weren't just a ton into it. I really was more into the Xbox 360 when that came out. I had a lot of fun with that because you were able to go live with it, and really had a blast. I mean, it was live from the outset, and it was just a great experience. The controller was better, and just really had a lot of fun playing the game. And then they started, to integrate, different types of entertainment options available on it as well. So that was a lot of fun. You get Netflix and all sorts of things, and they started to customize their menu. So that was fun. So I liked the Xbox 360. It was still bulky. You could turn it like this. So some people like that in terms of saving some horizontal space with it. But you could turn it horizontal if you wanted to. So then going down, over time, they came out with the Xbox 360S. So this is their slim version, so they reduced the size of it, similar to what they did with the PlayStation when they reduced the PlayStation to the PlayStation Slim version. And there are other modifications to it as well, but it was mainly that they, had reduced the size of it. And, they were also trying to cut down on hardware failures and all sorts of things. So they did upgrades to it. And then in 2013, they came out with the Xbox 360E. And this was further reduced in size. And, what they were basically doing, they were trying to also have a system available for people who are not going to want to fork the money to pay for the Xbox One, which you could see here also came out in 2013, because the release price for the Xbox 360E was $200 as opposed to the Xbox One. When that came out, the release price was $500. And so the two consoles were similar in many ways, but that's why they basically came out with those two systems right around that same time. And you'll see the designations of what these systems are with these letters when you look at the actual consoles, and you could easily just figure these out by just matching up the pictures as well. But you should know that, especially if you're new, why you would see different versions of these consoles. And it's real important when you're checking comps, for example. Like, you don't want to look up the Xbox 360E and compare that to an Xbox 360S. There are different specs and all that sort of stuff involved in that. So then you've got the Xbox One here, as I mentioned, 2013. This is the version I have. The thing that you're going to see behind it there is right up top, you're going to see this this horizontal piece right here. This is basically a motion detector camera system for their Kinect system. And basically it was so that they could have a whole bunch of different types of games. It was kind of a novel thing they were trying to do with their system. Although PlayStation had something similar, and the Wii was doing motion-based games, as well. But they were trying to, get in on the whole motion-based game system and come up with something, different for them. You had the problem with it. You had to have a lot of space. The sensors were not always quite reliable. And some of the games were pretty frustrating. I mean, I played some of them, but the reality of it is that most hardcore gamers, almost all hardcore gamers actually, they're not going to want to play these types of games. They're going to want to play the ones where you're sitting down, like, Halo, Call of Duty, Gears of War, all that type of stuff. They're not going to want to be, jumping up and down, bopping around in a raft, going over a waterfall. So, but they really tried to push it hard. They really tried to market it hard. And after about 4 years of it, they actually wound up discontinuing it. So it did not work out. Now, they tried to slim it down as well. So you wound up getting an Xbox One S, as you could see here in 2016. And then a further reductions and different improvements in specifications were made here for the Xbox One X. So that one there in 2017. And so when they originally mentioned that they were going to have the Xbox One X, which would be a more powerful system, they were originally calling it the Scorpio. So keep that in mind, because we're going to come back to that word a little bit later. And they are going to jump into a new generation of Xbox systems. They are going to release this one right here. This is the Xbox Series X that is going to be out for the holidays of 2020. So I'm giving you an early jump on this to be informed about it and start looking out for information regarding this, because this is eventually going to be the type of stuff that you are going to be listing, in your eBay stores or selling in Amazon and stuff like that. So, or on Mercari or wherever it is you sell. You can put this, by the way, on its side, but here it looks like a big speaker. I think those holes there up top are probably for good ventilation, so it's going to have some good cooling. But looks like it's going to be a pretty cool system that could even play things up to 8K. So how much difference there really is between 8K and 4K is probably pretty low, but still it's going to have that capability if you want that in the future. So right now it could do 4K. So I'm mostly going to focus with you today on some interesting, what I would call specialty systems that you may come across if you wind up picking in the estate of a hardcore gamer. So that does happen sometimes. I have come across situations exactly like that. Or you may wind up making a deal with someone who has a bunch of video games on the side. Maybe you're doing something relating to trading toys, or maybe you're even doing a comic deal. And often this comes up to me, hey, I also have video games. Would you like to buy them? So you need to have some general knowledge and be fluent about it so that you could at least, know what kind of things to look up and how to comp things. I mean, I tell you about comic books all the time on this channel. One of the things that I loved as a kid, one of my favorite things, in fact, sometimes it was the way I would actually pick what video game I would purchase. I would go to look at the ads in the comic books for video games, and then I would go out and just get that video game. So their advertising worked on me when I was younger. I'm sure it worked on a lot of other kids too. So let's start here. I'm going to show you 10 items. I like doing things in units of 10. This one here is just, I figured I'd start off with a more generic one, just to give you a sense. And every one I'm going to show you here is used, because I'm thinking of people who are reselling who might come across them in used condition. Obviously, if you find these things new or sealed, it's going to be a lot more. But everything I'm showing you here today is in used condition. So this is one of those Xbox One X systems, and you can see here it's a 1 terabyte hard drive. So that's a lot of memory in there. When originally started out with a regular Xbox, you were dealing with 8 gigabytes. So there's 1,000 gigabytes in 1 terabyte. So that's just how fast things have evolved over time. It's just absolutely crazy. Now, this does include 2 controllers, but that would be about a $425 sale max, I would say, for this type of unit in used condition, with the controllers and some boxes being there as well. So they're not always going to sell for this high, but this is just give you an example of how high it could potentially go this is all based on completed sales. And it can go lower than that depending on condition and what other kind of accessories. And that's, by the way, one other thing I'm going to mention here, just as an aside, is the prices that you're going to see for consoles are going to differ wildly according to how many games come with it. Do the games come with cases or not? Do the games come with, remote controls? Do they come with a Kinect? Do they come with, microphones? All sorts of things. There's so many different accessories and so many bundles that it could be very challenging to get exact comps for things. So you have to just try to match it up the closest that you can during that, current time in the market that you're looking these things up. So let's look at the ninth item here. We're going to move our way up in price, by the way. The last one is going to be a lot of fun, so hang out for that one. But this one here is a Microsoft Xbox. This is the Crystal Limited Edition 8 gigabyte one. So just like the regular Xbox in terms of the hard drive capacity, but it has this really cool crystalline blue color to it, and you could actually look inside, and it has features on it that allow for advanced gameplay. So you could use these special features, and people really love it. They love it for this look. This is why I wanted to show you these original versions here, because then you could go and you could see the contrast. So here we've got our regular Xbox, and then you could see here we've got our blue crystalline version. So this one here, if you were able to find one of these should easily flip for around the $400 to $450 range. They don't come across too often. So when you do see one and you come across it, the blue one way more valuable than if you find the regular old black one. So just keep in mind that information. It's good, be on the lookout information there for you. So number 8, this is one of the things that Xbox started doing, which was really cool, and this is going back to the original Xbox again, is what they started to do is, because Halo, I mentioned that earlier, was such a popular game, you could see there, what they started to do is they had a great marketing idea. Hey, why don't we come up with video game consoles, for Xbox, and basically bundles that we'll put together. We'll make a special box that has people's favorite characters on it, and we'll put all sort of little features in there. We'll make basically a military green looking console and a military green looking controller. It'll say Halo on it. So it's all, a bunch of marketing, really. That's mostly what it is. And but people loved it. People ate it up. And once they did that, they started eating it up with all sorts of different combos and unique consoles that they started making. So if you were somebody who liked to collect video games, when I was younger, you liked to collect video games and consoles. That was something you could actually do. You could go out and you could own an Intellivision, you could own an Atari, you could own a Nintendo, a Super Nintendo, an Xbox, all these things, a GameCube. You could have all of those things. But once they started going off into these specialized consoles, and then they're charging hundreds of dollars for it, it became cost prohibitive for the average collector to go out there and buy up all these consoles. And why would you want to buy all of these different consoles? It wouldn't make any sense, because in essence, they still do the same thing. They're really trying to cater to someone who really is niched into that specific game and just loves it, and they just want to immerse themselves in it in every which way. And so, but I give them a lot of credit because it was a great strategy. But this would be about a $600 unit if you're able to find it, with, again, all these different accessories that are associated with it. That will drive the price up for that. Okay, so let's move on to our next one here. And this one is admittedly going to be difficult to find, but they did make some of these. And sometimes there are people who work for the company, or who are able to, have a friend of a friend who knew someone in the company. This is, again, Xbox 2001 launch series here, and this one was one that was signed by Bill Gates. So he signed some of these. Great work there. You could see Bill Gates. This one you could see sold at auction for almost $700. I mean, really went up to like $660 dollars. So it's considered a launch team edition bundle. This is one of these ones I would say you're really not going to find unless you really get lucky. But I want to mix in some ones that you can more commonly come across, as well as some fun ones like this that might be kind of once in a lifetime, if ever, kind of finds. So then this one here is very interesting. Okay, so this one here is called the Taco Bell edition for it's a bundle edition for Xbox. And basically, Taco Bell, if you don't know, has been very intimately involved in partnering with Xbox over the years, including when they initially launched the Xbox. So they get together every once in a while, and you go and you buy like a double chalupa or something, and then you could enter into a giveaway, and you could get one of these special Xbox One X's that I was talking about before. Remember, here's our regular one over here, and here is our here is our Taco Bell one. And the thing that was really cool about this one, people really liked the controller. You can see that cool little thumb pad down there on the left, and I'll show it to you over here in a bigger view. People really love this. It was cool. It was the only way you could get it. Was through winning one of these Taco Bell giveaways. And so this is a thing that we're seeing a lot more out there in terms of generating value for companies, is that they're doing partnerships. So shoe companies are doing this a lot, for example, that they're associating not only with other big companies, but sometimes with celebrities to make these unique products, and the price really gets driven up with this. So this would be about, a $670, so almost a $700 unit. Now there were a bunch of these units that went out, so they are still out there. I mean, it's not that long ago that these were made. They were in limited quality, but they still are out there, and so you never know. You may come across something like this, and if so, that's going to be a nice nice flip for you. And you could see how the system looks here as well. So, okay, so that's five through. So now we're going to go to our next 5. So this one over here, remember I said earlier that when they were working on the Xbox One X that they called it Project Scorpio? Well, in a further attempt to just continue to market the heck out of these systems, a lot of people love that term Project Scorpio. And so when Xbox released the Xbox One X, they also at the same time released another version of it that just had all this Project Scorpio stuff written all over it. It's really cosmetic, but some people loved it and wanted to get it. It's really kind of gimmicky, pretty much. And but they're still they're out there. People like that, and this just recently one of these sold for almost $750. So it's so amazing, right, what marketing can do, but that brings an advantage to you as a reseller if you could know these things. So before you watch this video, if you weren't into video games, if you saw this, if you just happen to find this, let's say in an estate sale, and said Project Scorpio on it, would you have known that had some special significance that you might want to pick that up, as opposed to thinking of it as, oh, that's just a regular Xbox, I don't mess with video games? See, this is the kind of research that you need to do and the kind of knowledge you need to try to obtain, because that knowledge all translates into money in your pocket down the road when you're doing flips. So this is another one very similar to the very similar to the Halo special edition system that they came out with. And this one here is the Gears of War. I mentioned Gears of War earlier. I remember playing Gears of War when I was a kid on just a regular Nintendo cartridge, and it's crazy. That game has still just maintained such popularity, and you can see what they did with the console. It's really cool, has that really neat camouflage look, somewhat similar again to what they did with the Halo series, but very neat system, and $850 plus $30 shipping. So you're talking about $900 for that unit, and I don't even see the main box that it came with here. So this is loose used without the main box. So that's absolutely crazy. Amazing the kind of money that is in video games. So let's move on to our next one here. So I believe we are at number 3 if we're working our way up to number 2. So this is one that is also going to be very, very difficult to find. But again, it's one of these kind of fun ones I like to throw in here. It's an Xbox development kit. Again, sometimes you may come across someone who worked in the video game industry, and they may have acquired something like this in which the Xbox team is testing out certain games. And for this particular one, they were testing out the Godfather game system. So you could see this doesn't look like your regular, I mean, it does have the basic shape of an Xbox, but you could see here it's clear and everything like that. It doesn't have like the black look to it and stuff. So they were just testing things out, and you could see here, this was basically them testing out the Godfather console game, and this is the kind of stuff that would show up on it, on the screen, for the development kit. So it's just it's an interesting type of piece. It's not something that your average person is ever going to find or come across, and so for that reason, people just like to have stuff like that, as for show, and also they'll turn it on and mess around with it. But that's almost $1,000 piece right there. That's $900 plus $50 shipping. Now the next one here is interesting only because of the price differences across different places where you would list it. This one here is the Fallout bundle. So it's that's another popular video game is Fallout. It's the Xbox One 1 terabyte console here, and this one has sold multiple times for over $1,000, which is very interesting because this is eBay pricing. Because if you go over to Amazon right now, you could get that Fallout bundle for $414. And so, sometimes there's people who shop on Amazon, sometimes there's people who shop on eBay, but it really can pay to compare the two platforms, because you never know what kind of drastic price differences you may come across sometimes. But one that I am going to show you that is definitely unique, and you're not going to find this on some other platform. It's a really cool piece. This is the highlight. If you stayed around this long, I love this one. This is the original Xbox Hello Kitty video game console. Now, the history behind this is pretty interesting. This one was, they only made 500 of these, and they made it as part of a promotion through Samsung when they were selling Samsung televisions. And when the promotion ended, they still had a bunch of these left over that they were just distributing to, like I said, employees, people who work for the company, maybe someone who knew someone who worked for the company, that sort of thing. So there's not that many of them that are believed to currently be in existence, and they were only originally made in Singapore. So very, very difficult to find these from inside the United States, but there are some people who have purchased some from Singapore and have brought them into the US. So they are out there. If you ever find anything like this, and chances are you never ever will, chances are, but you never know. You can see there the original price on this, they had a $259 price on it. But nowadays, if you find something like that, that is over $3,000 in value right there for that system. So just amazing, a lot of fun. There's a lot to learn about video games, and I hope this helped to give you a nice introduction to at least the Xbox line of things. And if you want to see additional types of videos like this one in either video game content area, or just other kind of top 10 kind of content areas where I'm mixing in some more common types of items, giving a little historical tutorial, and also bringing up some of those really crazy, fun, high-priced items, let me know down below. We're going to be going into a new year soon, and so I'm thinking of different types of content that I want to bring to you in 2020, and so I'm testing out some different things at the end here of 2019, so just let me know what you think. If you like the video, make sure you hit the like button, give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, especially if you're new. That's really, really important. That just is going to continue to help get the videos out to other people, so increase the chance that they will see them. And plus, we're trying to get to that 10,000 subscriber mark, and I promise I'll stop bothering you about that once we hit to the 10,000 mark, but we're so close. I want to get there. It's just a fun number to try to hit. Also, come by and follow me if you want to see me on other aspects of social media. I am on Instagram at prime_time_treasure, and also come to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. The links to all of these things are down below, and I hope to see you over there and in the comment section. I'll see you at the next video, everyone. Take care.